thank you for joining us here on Monday Mornings with Maria. I'm here with my friend, my guest, Bridgette Bess. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Oh my God, guys! For those who do not know me or who've not watched this show, first I want to say thank you and welcome. Who are we? Well, my name is Dr. Maria Graham, and what we do, we help individuals who have found themselves complacent dig deep and hopefully find their passion in life and turn it into profit. How do we do that? We have guests like Bridget on. We talk about transformational speaking. We talk about living your best life. And today we are talking about breaking barriers, right?
Right. Exactly.
Oh my God. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So let's get started. So tell me, because you have a whole, like Bridget is, first of all, let me stop and say, this is my friend. She's been my friend since I can only remember. Our parents were in college together, right? Yeah, so we've been friends before in another life, okay? But Bridget talks about she's quiet, but she has a mighty voice. And she talks about transformation, and she talks about living that best life. And today we're talking about what? Tell us what we're talking about today.
So we'll be talking about breaking barriers. I actually recently started a blog. Well, not that recent, but back in April, I started a blog called Bridgette Breaking Barriers. And the purpose of the blog is basically for me to share my story about me overcoming things as I go through life and breaking barriers, as well as helping other people to break barriers in their lives. So it's all about just doing what I have been called to do, and that's just to share my gift of encouraging other people. So prayerfully you'll actually be encouraged through this show.
Yes, I love it. So tell me, let's talk about this. Why did you decide to do the blog? Like, you can do life and share with your friends, but one thing you told me was so important for you to share this piece with other people. Why?
So I guess a few years ago now, it might seem a little bit weird, but I felt like I was being led to share my story, and I began to question God. Like, nope, I don't really have a story, because most of the time when we say something about sharing your story, you think about some type of tumultuous event that occurred in someone's life, and that hasn't been my story. So I was trying to figure out exactly what it was that God wanted me to share with other people. And they always say never to question God. And so at that moment, I actually questioned God, and things began to happen in my life, and I began to see and know Him in a different light. And so through that, I'm able to actually help other women and men to be able to break barriers in their life. So just sharing different revelations that I have, different stories that I may have, different experiences, whether it's my experience or the experience of other people. I feel it's important for me to perhaps be that middle person to just bridge the gap for those people who might not necessarily encounter those types of stories. So
that's good. I like that, where you are sharing your story, but you share the stories of others,
right?
And what they have overcome in their lives. And one thing I like, you said that you said never question God, and things started to happen.
Right.
Can you explain that? Because I know we want people to read the blog. So, but I want you to kind of give us a little taste of what did happen at that moment when you started questioning God.
Okay, interesting that you asked that question, because I haven't even gotten to the point where I actually shared that particular piece.
Okay.
So perhaps this is God.
Okay.
So right after that occurred, in regards to I began to hear that voice, I got confirmations that I was supposed to share my story with other people. And this was about 3 years ago. And shortly thereafter, I actually was laid off from my job. I was out of work for about 6 months, and during that time, initially, you start out and you're like excited because this is a brand new start. You can start a new chapter. You can learn some different things, and then when there's no job opportunities, you begin to question, okay, God, like, what are you really doing? Like, seriously. And so in those moments, you begin to trust in God, because that's all that you have at that particular point in time. So there were, during that transition period, I would say, those were times where I began to trust Him, not only with myself and my capabilities, but also with my finances, as well as just giving myself totally to him and yielding to him so that he can be able to use me as a vessel for him. So now I'm finally getting to the point where I'm allowing him to actually utilize me as a vessel. And so I recognize that in this life, it's not about me. As much as I would like to think that it's about me and what it is that I want to do, I have to recognize that it's not about me, but it's truly about him. And so living my life to the best of my ability to ensure that he gets the glory ultimately.
I like that. I love that. Wow, that you said so many different profound things in that there for someone else, because you can take something like losing your job, and it can go one of two ways. You can say, God, I trust you, or God, you can say, well, I don't believe.
Get frantic,
yeah. So it takes me to a place of one thing. I commend you for telling this story, because there are so many people out there who pretend. Facebook and social media. We're in the business of pretending.
Right.
So for you to even go that deep and say, okay, this is what happened, and this is my reality, and this is how I've overcame and had to trust God, that speaks volumes.
Right. And that's actually something that in this time I believe God has revealed to me, is that it's not, again, it's not about me or whatever, so I have to be able to yield myself, and yielding myself will often, I guess, push me to break barriers, as I always say, and to do things outside of my comfort zone. And so that's not a good place. Nobody wants to be uncomfortable. You like to be, pretty comfortable, so things can just kind of go smoothly and easy. But that's not always it's never really what God has for us. And so we have to continue to push, and in pushing, you begin to discover things about yourself, things within you that you didn't even know was there. So that's important for you to continue to push past those barriers so that you can see God actually show himself in your life.
Yeah, that's good. And when you said pushing past and going past your comfort zone, what was one thing that in the beginning that you had to push past?
Let me think. I guess the main thing was just me not being in control. That was the biggest thing.
Okay.
We all often want to make sure that we're in control of everything. And I wouldn't say that I'm a control freak, but I still like to have things kind of in its place. I can flow to certain degrees, but for the most part, you still kind of want to know what's going on. So I guess it was getting to that point where I don't necessarily know where we're going with this, but I'll just trust you in the process and see where it goes, and know that in the end, you go back to past experiences and know that he's never left me before. So why would he all of a sudden just leave me now? So you just have to trust him and trust his process and trust his path. And of course, the main thing that you have to do is continue to go back to the word. And the word is what will continue to guide your path so you're able to go through life.
So when, going, trusting his word and going through the path, for those who are out there who might have been going through that situation, and we're going to kind of come back now to the present, but for that one person that's out there who says, I've been there, I've gone through what you've gone through, I'm looking for a job, I'm doing all these things, and I'm trusting God, and it's still not happening. What would you say, even in a sentence or a word, what would you tell them right now? In like real talk, saying, okay, girl, listen.
Right. I think it's important. This is something that I've recently learned. I think it's important to speak your truth. So if I'm feeling down, it's okay for me to speak it, but I can't stay there.
Oh, that's
so good. I can just go ahead and I can say, you know what, today ain't a good day.
Right.
I ain't feeling it.
Right.
I'm not really feeling people today. Whatever your truth is, it's okay to just go ahead and speak it. But the thing is to not stay there. You have to speak it, and then you have to move on. So we go back to the word, and the word, it always talks about speaking life.
Yes.
So it's okay to go ahead and just say those things, but if you continue to speak that negativity, that's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to go to God and say, God, this is where I am. This is how I'm feeling. I'm not feeling this right now. I don't even know how to trust you right now. But I'm going to trust you because you're in your word. You go back to the word and you speak his word back to him.
Right.
And you say, in your word, it says that I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength.
Yes.
So you begin to speak his word back to him. And not only he gets happy, that's when things begin to happen because he likes to hear his word.
Yes.
But also things begin to happen on the inside of you. That's why his word is there. It's supposed to encourage us and uplift us and take us to a new place. But I think it's very important for us to make sure that we speak our truth. You can say, I don't like this. I don't like where I am right now. However, you know, and move on from there.
I like that.
So that's a part of speaking life. You know, you can go ahead and speak your truth, and then you go in and you speak life into your situation.
I like that.
But the other thing too is you have to believe what it is that you're speaking.
Oh, say that again. Okay, I like so you're speaking, and then now you have to believe.
Right,
yes.
And it actually might need to be reversed. You might need to believe it and then speak it.
Yes.
So that things can begin to happen.
To work on your behalf.
Correct. Correct.
So even in your blog, we're talking about breaking barriers, but you have like 3 or 4 different sayings that you say. Talk about integrity and go. Can you kind of give me some things?
Okay, so this is actually something that I plan to actually work towards working on within my blog. I began to think about different things to help people break barriers in their lives. Okay. And so some of those things that I began to think about when I think about my life, what has helped me, what hasn't helped me, you just kind of playing the field. We want to make sure that there are 5 different things that you can do to break barriers in your life. And so those 5 different things are, number 1 is identity. So you need to know who you are. Number 2 would be worth. You need to understand your worth, and in understanding your worth, you understand whose you are. And then your friends, you need to know your circle, who it is that you're being around. Are you always around those negative Nancy's? That's not going to be good for you.
Right.
As you're speaking life, they're going to be speaking death. So you need to make sure that you know who you're around. And then the other thing is mental transformation. So in the word, in Romans 12:1, not to be that scripture person, but it actually says that we have to renew our mind. So that's a constant thing. It's not something that you do one day and then you don't have to do it again, but you actually have to continuously renew your mind, and that brings about transformation within yourself. And then the last thing that you need to do is to actually go. Yeah, you have to put in the work, just like Nike says. Just do it.
Right. Oh, I love it. I think that speaks volumes. It's like a whole transformation of a person, your identity, knowing who you are and believing in who you are and speaking life and going. I mean, to me, it speaks volumes, especially with friends. Okay.
Right.
Because we've been friends forever, and some of your friends you have a season, you have a lifetime.
Right.
But when I see friends, when you transition together, that's good.
Right.
And then when you transition to another place in your life, you always know the friend that was she really my friend?
Right. Was she really rocking with me?
Right. Like, okay, Lord. And it might hurt you at that moment, but God, whatever you lose, He'll bring something else. If that's your close friend, trust me, He'll bring somebody else.
Right.
And I think that we as women, sometimes we will stay in unhealthy friendships. We talk about relationships so much with everyone, living the fulfilled life, but we don't talk about friendships a lot. And your friends can really make or break you.
They really can. They can take you up or they can bring you down.
Yes.
It's all in who it is that you're around. So you want to make sure that you're around positive people, and also people who are on the same page as you. If you're trying to be an entrepreneur and your friends that you're around have no concept of owning their own business, how is that going to benefit you? But I also feel there might be something else. Maybe they don't have that particular concept, but maybe there's something else that friendship is feeding you. And so that brings up another thing, is that your friendship should be feeding you something. Not only should you be able to pour something into that friendship, but they should be able to pour something into you as well.
Exactly. I agree. I think I totally agree. Like, pouring into each other, because that's how you grow, that's how you develop. Like, a lot of my friends, they might not be entrepreneurs, but they respect the fact, okay, Maria, you got this. Or when I'm having a bad day, and sometimes I'm having a day when I'm just panicking because I'm like, I'm going into the unknown, and you call that friend, you're like, you got this. You
right.
got this, girl.
Right.
Just go in there and kill it. You
so
know
that encouragement, it
that's
really
what
does.
you
It
need.
boosts you. You know, it
Exactly.
takes you to higher heights. So they might not be able to provide that insight in regards to the business, but they can encourage you and they can rock with you along the way and cheer you on along the way. Share your posts,
Right.
you know, those
and
types
get
of
you
things.
together when you don't want to work.
Right. That's a good friend.
Yes.
And that's actually really important for people to speak about, is that sometimes people just want to be in their comfort zone. And if you don't have a friendship or a person that you can go to who would actually tell you when you're wrong,
yes,
and get you together, that's not a friendship.
Yeah,
right. It's not a friendship at all.
That's a fan club to me.
Right.
Yeah.
And we don't need those.
I don't need any fans.
Because eventually it'll end up tearing you down.
Exactly.
You don't have time for that. We got things to do.
Right. That is so true. That is so true. Because I think, like, even because we're friends, and even sometimes we have to encourage each other, like, girl, if you don't get off this phone, right, and go do some work. And it's so funny because sometimes we put our own deadlines on each other. Like, no, when is it due by? Oh, no, you're going to have this due by this day.
Right. And you need friends to hold you accountable.
Exactly.
That's important.
Exactly.
Definitely.
And I like that, like, even with your blog, because for those who give the name of your blog again for those who
again, my blog is called Bridgette Breaking Barriers, and so it's at www.bridgettebreakingbarriers.com.
And okay, so spell your name for me, because some people spell Bridget different.
Right.
So spell your name for me.
So it's BRIDGETTE breakingbarriers.com.
Okay, so for those who haven't been to the website, who hadn't seen, she is very transparent on here, and I commend her.
Try to be.
I mean, you are. I commend you for that, because transparency is everything. And going back to you, you said know your truth,
right?
And for those who are out there, who are kind of in this land of, I'm just going to pretend for everybody, your truth might save somebody else's life.
Right. So it's very important not only for you to speak life, live your own life, but also for you to share life. And so sharing life is about encouraging other people, but it's also about sharing your story, sharing your testimony. What types of things have you overcome in your life? And again, it's still not even about you in that moment.
Right.
It's about God. So it's about what He did through you.
Yes.
So I haven't talked openly in regards to my surgery, but I recently had surgery. And so even in that moment, I was able to see God in my life. There was a mass that was inside of me that was there for I don't know how long. And when the doctor actually told me how big it was, it was like, oh my gosh, can't believe that I was walking around and there was something inside of me. So you never really know whose story you would be able to share. So recently, my stylist actually, she had a health issue. And so it was on Facebook. I was reading one of her posts, and she was talking about how she couldn't be silent because God had done so much for her, and she needed to share her story. And in that moment, I realized that even though I am continuing to break barriers in my life, that was one thing that I hadn't spoken publicly in reference to. Not that everybody needs to know all of the intimate details. However, they do need to know what God did for me in that moment. So it's not about me at that moment. It's about me sharing what He's done in my life.
So give me 3 things that you've learned from that moment when you just recently had your surgery, or even a couple of past experiences. 3 things that you learned.
I guess the first thing that I would say that I learned, especially from the first situation when I was talking about me losing my job, that sort of thing, definitely is to trust God. Understand that He is a all-powerful God and He knows everything. So in trusting Him, I have to literally trust Him in everything, and just totally give it to Him. Another thing that I would say that I've learned in that particular situation is for me to speak up and talk about those things. He gave me the blog so that I can be able to share things with other people, revelations that He's specifically given to me, whether it's like I said before, whether it's my story or if it's somebody else's story, but just things that I've learned in the process, for me to be able to share those things and also live my life the way I choose to live my life, not necessarily for anybody else, but the way I choose to live my life based off the purpose that He's put within me.
That's good. I like that. Just even the purpose, well, your purpose, the purpose he has given you.
Right.
And I think that is so profound.
Right.
You know, because one thing is when people look at you in a different way, like, oh, you're supposed to be doing this, or you doing who's
right.
You're this person's doing, or whoever, you're supposed to be doing it like this.
Right.
But that might not be what God has given you.
Exactly. And that's something that I personally had to learn for myself, is that I couldn't get caught up in the different things that I felt just based off of looking at other people. It's like, oh, they got this, they got that. One of the things that people, I guess one of the things that has not necessarily been a huge struggle, but one of the things that I have to continue to overcome is just my singleness, because I am a single Christian female. And so that's something that can be a challenge, especially when everyone around you is married. Everyone around you is married. But then you had to recognize, and that's actually one of the blogs that I had, was that why are you single? And in that moment, I went to a singles event, and in that moment, I realized why I was still single. And that was because I needed to recognize what my purpose was.
That's good.
You need to know where it is that you're going before you go with somebody else, so y'all can both be going in the same direction. So definitely.
That's good. That is so good. Because I think too, like I tell people all the time, whatever problems that you have before, or whatever you didn't know before you got married, when you walk down the aisle, that doesn't mean that goes away.
Right.
Now
it's magnified.
Right. Now you have his stuff and her stuff, and y'all trying to figure it out together. And I think people get so confused and caught up with the whole wedding day or whatever, planning this wedding. I'm like, look, girl, get you a white dress and plan your own party. Know yourself first, or
Exactly.
So that's good.
And that would be one of the blessings in this particular season in my life. So while with me being single, but also being around a lot of married people, I've been able to learn so much. Like, it's mind-boggling, the things that I've learned, and it's just from little things that I've learned along the way. And I'm so grateful and so thankful, because if I had gotten married before, I would have messed up somebody's life, like majorly.
That's good. Oh my God. For you to, but you know why it's good? Because for you to say something like that, like, you know, like, definitely, people always think that it was somebody else, but for you to be able to look internally and say that.
And that's what a part of what being single is about. Is about you being able to look inwardly within yourself. And understand some of those flaws that you need to actually work on. Not that flaws will ever go away in your life, but you need to work on some things so that you can build somebody else up once you actually become married. And you know what you like and what you don't like, you know?
That's good.
So that's important, definitely.
I like that. Oh my God. Okay, so guys, I know we can talk for hours about different subjects, but I just want to thank you guys for just tuning in today, talking to Bridgette. I can't wait to see more and more of your vlogs and your transparency, and I just want to personally thank you as a friend, because people don't even, realize, and even in my transition from pharmacy to another career, that this was my friend that I had to go to say, I don't know what's going on. Like, God is moving stuff, and He no, it's time for you to move. So her transparency helped me transition from one career to another. So I thank you.
You're welcome. And you know what? It was in those moments that I was actually able to understand specifically what my purpose was. It took me a while, but I'm beginning to learn it a little bit more, and God is continuing to reveal different things to me. So I'm thankful for you being a good friend as well, because there were some times you had to listen to me.
We're here, and we talk about, look, you got to get your girlfriends, you got to get your friends together. Like, our circle might be small, but that's all you need. You just need a couple of people just to pour into your life and help you break your barriers along the way. So again, thank you for watching. Until next time, remember, today is the first day to the rest of your life. Bye, guys.
Special thanks to our sponsors. Without you, we cannot be here today. If you would like to be a sponsor or a guest on Monday Mornings with Maria, please contact our show producers at the email provided in the description box below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next week.